In August of 1977, something extraordinary happened in the quiet countryside of Ohio. A massive radio telescope scanning the sky detected a powerful signal coming from deep space. It lasted exactly 72 seconds. Then it disappeared. Scientists searched the sky for decades trying to find it again. They never did. The signal became known as the wow signal. But even today, one question still remains: what exactly sent it? For most people on Earth, that summer night passed like any other. Cities slept, planes crossed the sky, radios played music. But far from the noise of civilization, a giant scientific instrument was listening to the universe. The telescope was known as Big Ear, and it belonged to Ohio State University. Unlike optical telescopes that capture images of stars, Big Ear was designed to detect radio waves, invisible signals constantly traveling through space. Many scientists believe that if intelligent life existed somewhere in the galaxy, it might try to communicate using radio transmissions. The idea was simple but powerful. Radio waves can travel enormous distances through space with very little interference. If a distant civilization wanted to announce its presence to the universe, broadcasting a signal using radio frequencies would be one of the most logical ways to do it. This idea eventually led to a scientific effort known as SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. Researchers began scanning the sky, hoping that somewhere among the cosmic noise they might detect something unusual. Most of the time, the telescope recorded nothing remarkable. The universe produces natural radio signals constantly. Pulsars emit rhythmic bursts of radiation. Galaxies radiate enormous energy. Even distant gas clouds produce faint signals that can be detected by sensitive equipment. These signals were expected. They formed the background noise of the cosmos. But on the night of August 15, 1977, something different appeared in the data. The Big Ear telescope did not produce images. Instead, it printed long streams of numbers and letters on paper. Each sequence represented the strength of a radio signal detected from a specific region of space. Days later, astronomer Jerry Emmon was reviewing one of these printouts when he noticed something that immediately caught his attention. One section of the printout showed an unusually strong signal. Instead of the weak background numbers scientists normally saw, the sequence displayed a pattern that looked completely different. It stood out dramatically from everything else on the page. The signal rose quickly in intensity, peaked, and then faded away. The entire event lasted exactly 72 seconds. Emmon was so surprised that he circled the sequence in red ink and wrote a single word in the margin: "Wow." That handwritten note would later give the signal its famous name. What made the signal remarkable was not just its strength. It was the structure of the transmission itself. The pattern followed a very specific curve that matched exactly what scientists expected to see if a RADIO source passed through the telescope's listening range as the Earth rotated. In other words, the signal behaved exactly like a real astronomical transmission coming from space. Even more intriguing was the frequency at which the signal appeared. The wow signal was detected very close to the hydrogen line, a specific radio frequency naturally emitted by hydrogen atoms throughout the universe. Hydrogen is the most abundant element in existence. Because of this, many scientists had long suggested that the hydrogen frequency would be a logical place for intelligent civilizations to transmit signals. Any technologically advanced species studying the cosmos would likely know about this frequency. If someone wanted to create a signal that other civilizations might discover, the hydrogen frequency would be an obvious choice. And that was exactly where the wow signal appeared. This coincidence immediately captured the attention of astronomers around the world. If the signal had come from a natural cosmic source, scientists expected they would eventually detect it again. Pulsars repeat. Quasars emit constant radiation. Even rare astronomical events often leave traces that can be observed later. But the wow signal never appeared again. After the discovery, researchers began scanning the same region of space repeatedly. The Big Ear telescope continued its observations for years. Other observatories around the world joined the effort, pointing their instruments toward the same coordinates. More advanced telescopes were eventually used to search the area with greater sensitivity. But despite decades of searching, the signal was never detected again. This created a mystery that continues to puzzle scientists to this day. The region of space where the signal appeared lies within the constellation Sagittarius, in the direction of the center of our galaxy. This part of the Milky Way contains billions of stars, many of which may have planetary systems of their own. If intelligent civilizations exist elsewhere in the galaxy, this region would be one of the most likely places to find them. But without another signal, determining the source proved impossible. Scientists began proposing possible explanations. One theory suggested that the signal might have been caused by an unknown astronomical phenomenon. The universe is full of events that scientists are still discovering. Some cosmic bursts release enormous energy in very short periods of time. It was possible that the wow signal represented a natural event that simply happened to produce a radio burst at exactly the right frequency. Another possibility involved human-made interference. Radio signals from Earth can sometimes bounce off satellites or atmospheric layers in unexpected ways. But detailed analysis of the signal suggested this explanation was unlikely. The frequency was extremely narrow and stable, characteristics that are difficult to produce accidentally. For many researchers, the most intriguing possibility remained the same one that had motivated the search from the beginning. What if the signal came from an intelligent source? If a distant civilization were attempting to send a radio transmission across the galaxy, the signal might look exactly like the wow signal did, narrow, powerful, and transmitted near the hydrogen frequency. But if that were the case, another question immediately arises. Why did it only appear once? One possibility is that the signal was never intended for Earth. Space is unimaginably vast. A transmission aimed at another star system might briefly intersect with our planet as it travels across the galaxy. For 72 seconds, the Earth might have simply crossed the path of a distant signal before drifting out of alignment again. Another possibility is that the transmission was part of an experiment or test conducted by an advanced civilization. Perhaps it was sent once and never repeated. Or perhaps the civilization that created it no longer exists. These ideas are fascinating, but they remain speculative. In 2016, a new theory emerged. Astronomer Antonio Paris proposed that the signal might have been produced by hydrogen clouds surrounding passing comets. Two comets were known to have passed through the region of space where the signal originated around the same time. Under certain conditions, hydrogen gas released by comets could produce radio emissions near the hydrogen frequency. To test this theory, Paris conducted additional observations when the comets returned to the region years later. Some signals were detected that appeared somewhat similar. However, many scientists argued that the strength and narrow frequency of the original wow signal were still difficult to explain using this mechanism. The debate continues today. Despite decades of investigation, no explanation has been universally accepted. The wow signal remains one of the most famous unexplained events in the history of astronomy. For scientists involved in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, the signal represents both excitement and frustration. It demonstrated that unusual signals can appear unexpectedly in astronomical data. But without repetition, it also showed how difficult it is to study such events. Modern radio telescopes are far more powerful than the Big Ear instrument that detected the wow signal. Facilities like the Green Bank Telescope and the Allen Telescope Array now scan the sky with enormous sensitivity. These instruments analyze millions of radio channels simultaneously, searching for patterns that might indicate intelligent communication. Computers process vast quantities of data every second, looking for signals that stand out from the cosmic background. So far, none have matched the characteristics of the wow signal, but the search continues. Some scientists believe that the signal may represent a type of cosmic event we have not yet fully understood. Others believe that one day, with more advanced instruments and longer observation times, a similar signal might appear again. And if it does, it could transform our understanding of the universe. Because if the wow signal truly originated from an intelligent civilization beyond Earth, It would represent the first evidence that we are not alone in the cosmos. But until another signal appears, the mystery remains.